All right, I got something for you, so check it out. You know that song that goes, "This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let you know that you know the whole little song. Um, Great song, but we gotta talk about this because I think it is something that really, really, really confuses people, or people just do not understand it. So the song is saying, "This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine," and I can only concur that that song is being taken from Matthew 5:14, and the verse it says, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others." Right. And so I think that's where that little song is taken from. It's saying, let your light shine before others. The question is, what is your light? What is that light? And where people get confused is that automatically, boom, they think that light is talking about their gifts and their talents. I know what you're thinking. You're like, what is this guy on here? Hear me out. Hear me out. Your gifts and your talents are not your light. They are highlighters. All right. Let me show you what I mean. Let me show you what I mean. Your gifts and your talents are not the light. They are simply highlighters, and they can do one or two things. They can highlight you, or they can highlight your Father in heaven. So a highlighter is, as we know, like we've all taken notes, a highlighter allows you to highlight or point out or isolate something, make it stand out, right? So that's what our gifts do to us. They make us stand out. You know, if you have a beautiful voice, you stand out of the crowd when it comes to singing, because not everybody is able to sing at the capacity that you are. If you're an athlete, you stand out in sports because not everybody can move the way you move. If you're a creative, you stand out in creating content because not everybody has the same capacity or the same ability to do it at the level that you do. So your gifts and your talents merely highlight you. You see where I'm going? Here's the part. In John 18:12, Jesus is speaking and he says, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." Did you hear that? Did you catch it? He says, "Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." So we only gain light, the light of life, when we follow him, when we are in alignment with him. Remember how I said your gifts and your talents are simply highlighters, and they can either highlight you or highlight him? Here's what I meant. The back part of this verse in Matthew 5:14 and 16 is it says, "In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." So as you can see, the purpose of our gifts, the purpose of our talents are to highlight Christ, are to highlight our Father in heaven, not to highlight us. That's why we fall in this pit, because we get distracted by the influence and the success and the commodities that come with us being highlighted by our lights. Instead, we should be focusing on our lights highlighting the Father. Now, it is impossible for our lights to highlight him unless we follow him, unless we are in communion with him. That is the only way we reflect his light. That's why Jesus says he is the light of the world, and we only become carriers of his light, the light of life, when we follow him. Check this. The only part that makes it our light is when we take the light of Christ and add it to our gifts and talents. It only becomes our part because our gifts and talents are unique and different from anybody else's gifts and anybody else's talents. And our capabilities and our capacity is different from anybody else's capacity and anybody else's capability. And that's what makes us unique. And because we are unique in this sense that his light is being added to our gifts and our talents, then it becomes our light because it is very unique and it is different and nobody else can replicate it. That's why we're also called the salt of the earth, because the flavor that we bring is different. My flavor, the flavor of my salt is different than the flavor of anybody else's, because I bring a different flavor to my environment, to my atmosphere, to my school, to my work, to church, everywhere. And that's the only thing that makes it my light, is that it's unique only to me. But apart from that, it is his light that I'm reflecting and adding to my gifts and talents. And in turn, they're being combined together and working together to exalt him. But only I am capable of releasing that kind of light. And that's the only part of this that makes it mine. And so unless that process has taken place, my gifts and my talents will never, ever be a light. There will always be a highlighter. And we have to understand this. It is so crucial and it is so important. Next time you're singing that song, there's a little light of mine, I'm gonna let, just remember, it is only your light, because it is his light that you're reflecting in addition to your gifts, talents. And what that does is it's highlighting him. And when he's highlighted, you benefit from it, because you have become a vessel that he can use, because you have surrendered to his will. And this is actually how you get to experience life, and life to the fullness, and life to the fullest, because you're operating in the purpose and in the plan that he created you to be in. That's why he says, for I know the plans that I have for you. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. So how else can you walk into these plans and walk into this hope and walk into this future that he has for you if you are not in alignment with him, if your will is not his? You can't. And that's why you want to carry his light. So when you carry it, it carries you. Be blessed.